In the blink of an eye, stale, cold, drifting endlessly in a place that is both somewhere and nowhere, Obsidian Zabisus tricked us and caught us in its trap. Together, we're all lost. But there is hope. I am still a dream priest and our minds are still connected. I can keep us grounded and help relieve your fear and pain. And the green bowl is lost with us, a mistake by the shadows. The medallion is powerful enough for whatever twisted games they have planned in other dimensions, but the trophy still has elder power. If we can activate it again, we can escape this desolate dreamland. But do realize, it's up to you to avoid your own madness. We will fluctuate from being in a catatonic state, floating through a vast emptiness, to being in a different place and time altogether. This is my hope that we can reach someone, anyone, who can help us from the other side. I have pinpointed places in my dreams that I need to send each of you, but I have no idea if these areas exist in our dimension, or if these are parallel worlds. There seems to be 3 distinct cracks in the void that I can communicate through: Europe, America, and Asia-Pacific regions. The European void, space-time connection give me visions of London in the year 2530, Berlin in 1929, Barcelona in 1992, and Rome in 1890. The American void shows me Toronto in the year 2235, Chicago in 1967, Miami in 2935, and Mexico City in 1955. Finally, the Asia-Pacific void brings pictures of Beijing in 3145, Tokyo in 1981, Moscow in 2435, and Sydney in 1842. We'll also go in and out of reality as you play your fantasy football game to keep sane and to unlock the Green Bull's powers once more. Just remember that the shadows will not stay out of our way for long. Obsidian Zabisus will sense what we're doing eventually. We need to beware that alternate dimensions could also lead to different versions of ourselves, versions that could be corrupted by the shadows. We will have many challenges in this quest. There are beasts trapped in here with us. If awakened, would devour our entire existence, making the survivors forget them, which will alter our timelines. My telepathic communication will unfortunately leave us open to nightmares as well. Oh yeah, one last thing. Franklin George Wilkins III, the Shadow Brigade member possessed by the shadows, is now free, but trapped here with us. I'm working with him to try and reach his fellow brigade members. They too can possibly help us if we can pinpoint the correct timeline. I will communicate with you from time to time as we make progress. Good luck, and may the Order of Light guide us to our escape. Wait. A vision comes to me telepathically. I will let you all see and hear.
Tokyo, 1981. This is the start of the city's economic boom that would last for a decade. Tokyo became one of the world's most active major cities during the 80s with cutting-edge technology, information, culture, and fashion. Public safety was also a high priority. But something isn't right. Things seem distorted, like in a dream. Who am I? Is this real? My stomach stings. No. It's pulling me. Do I belong here? I walk the streets. No. I float like a mist through the streets, touching everything as I pass through walls. Why am I here? I'm supposed to find something. But what? Ah! My head is splitting in 3. thoughts running into one another. The San Francisco 49ers are going to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals in Super Bowl 20 this season. What? Why is that in my head? Fear. I'm not alone. Something in the darkness. Tokyo 1981. I must go to the source of the distortion. I must find part of the key. Key? The key to where? The Oakland Raiders were the defending champs in 1981, only to become the fourth Super Bowl champ to not make the playoffs in that season at that time. And then they moved to LA. Whispers getting louder. I must find what's hidden. And I must pay attention to a battle of Green Bowl winners as 2022 champion the Elite Mother Tuggers travel to take on the defending champion Green Acres to open the season. What am I thinking about? What's happening? Ah! Stay out of my head.
Welcome to the quest for the Green Ball! Lost in Dreamlands, a fantasy football show with a cosmic horror twist. The first week of games is exciting for everyone. And we are all 0-0, looking to get that good start to the season, especially in our divisions. But even a loss in week 1 doesn't really bring panic. A win does bring lots of celebration, though. And confidence and early bragging rights, but projections and playoff percentages cannot factor in the unpredictability of fantasy football. There will be surprises at the top. There will be upsets. There will be injuries and bye-week hells, and there will be the waiver wire pickup of the year at some point in these next couple of weeks. Any one of us can win it all, and week 1 personifies that hope. Still, divisional games are huge. Even in the first 3 games, an 0-3 start guarantees a very tough road to a divisional title. But just one win in these first 3 is all that's really needed to keep you close. A week 1 win is huge for this reason, because you just get it out of the way right away. There are some interesting matchups coming up with some players and teams to watch, but only one brings us a battle of the last 2 Green Bowl champions out of the Asia Pacific void, and it's an easy choice for the first game of the week. As as the 2022 champion Elite Mother Tuckers travels to take on defending champion Green Acres, and they must travel through time at Green Acres' home base in Tokyo 19. Defending champions had a very tough draft, and it shows in these projections. The Elite Mother Tuckers come in with a 61.6% chance to win. But there is a lot of uncertainty before the start of the season, and projections can be very volatile for the first 5 to 6 weeks. Dak Prescott versus Matthew Stafford is a wash, in my opinion, at quarterback, as is the Bengals versus the Bears defense. The Bijan Robinson versus Tyler Algier matchup looks to be very key for both squads, but the Elite Mother Tuckers are not afraid of Jalen Warren, at least not yet. Green Acres can say the same thing about Tony Pollard, who was a huge bust last season after getting the starting role in Dallas. The Mother Tuckers will hope DJ Moore doesn't lose production to Keenan Allen and Adunze, especially with new quarterback throwing to Moore in 2024. They will need more to keep up with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and they will need Devontae Smith to be more consistent and not put up those dreaded 5 points or less games like he did last season. The same goes for George Kittle, who can literally get you 20 points one week and 1 point the next week. Sam Laporta and Nico Collins could be keys for Green Acres. To be honest, Green Acres needs touchdowns in a big way, so if Laporta and Collins find the end zone, that could be a big boost. Justin Tucker versus Dustin Hopkins at kicker is also an interesting matchup, as Hopkins was a surprise kicker a year ago. But there are clearly two players I am watching in this one. For the Elite Mother Tuckers, I look at running back Devon Achane. Achane was a monster when healthy last season. He had the beast 200-plus yard 4-touchdown game in Week 3 that put him on everyone's radar to make him a waiver pickup. And of course, he had 2 straight 20-plus point games right after that for my squad as I picked him up. But then an injury knocked him out for 4 games, and it actually knocked him out for 6, really, because he came back and barely played in Week 11 and then missed Week 12. But he added 3 more double-digit games to close the season. So he shows that potential there again. Achane is going to be a huge asset for the Elite Mother Tuckers if he's healthy all year and continues to be as explosive on his limited opportunities. Mostert is still expected to get at least 15 touches a game, and of course that's going to eat into Achane's possibilities. But Mostert is also getting older and may see a touchdown regression. Achane is also someone who can literally single-handedly win your weekly matchup if he's putting up 60-yard runs like he was. If the Elite Mother Tuckers gets elite Achane, Green Acres will most likely get blown out. If Achane is limited or fails to reach the end zone, then it could leave a window open for an early upset. Speaking of defending champion Green Acres, I'm looking at wide receiver Puka Nacua. Nacua was an undrafted beast last season until Cooper Kupp started to take away more opportunities, but even then Nacua made the most of those limited chances with double-digit points in 7 games, even with Kupp starting, including getting over 100 yards 4 times. Nacua, of course, saw a diminished target share alongside Kupp, with him getting double-digit targets just 3 times after seeing 52 in the first 4 games. He had just 108 targets in the final 12 games, but that's still decent production, especially with what he was doing. And the Rams, even with Kyron Williams, love to throw with Matthew Stafford. If Nacua and Stafford hook up for a touchdown or 2, it would be a big boost for Green Acres. If Kupp steals the show, however, while Stafford might still do well for Green Acres, less than 10 points by Nacua could be detrimental for any hopes at a Week 1 win. Regardless of who steps up, the atmosphere should be huge in our league, with the last 2 champs going at it, going head-to-head. But what about the rest of the league? Well, let's go over what's going to happen in the best of the rest. Asia Pacific Void matchup, we get a league debut with Pounders hosting Risky Business, and the computers give Pounders a 57.1% chance to win. Risky Business has Caleb Williams hoping for a CJ Stroud type season, while Pounders can choose between multiple quarterbacks but has Josh Allen starting for now. The edge goes to Allen, of course, though it will be interesting to see the Bills' offense without Diggs. Mark Andrews versus Dalton Kincaid, Justin Jefferson versus Breece Hall, and Mike Evans versus Chris Godwin are key areas to watch. Kyron Williams and Josh Jacobs really boost Risky Business as well, but James Cook could get more targets out of the backfield without Diggs, which would boost Pounders. Pounders obviously is looking for a big Bills game here with all those Bills players. Moving on to the American Void, Air Jordan and his multitude of third-round picks travels to take on the Overcomers and enters with a 65.3% chance to win. Patrick Mahomes versus CJ Stroud, Christian McCaffrey versus Derrick Henry, and Devontae Adams versus Cooper Kupp are my areas to watch. The Cowboys versus Packers defense could surprisingly be key here as well. And don't sleep on Rachaad White versus Aaron Jones. In the other divisional matchup, the Stellar Bitches travel to take on Remember the Titans, coming in with a 61.1% chance to win. Joe Burrow versus Brock Purdy is an unlikely quarterback battle in Week 1, and it could be key. But A.J. Brown, Joe Mixon, Isaiah Pacheco, and Michael Pittman could put up big numbers, which would mean that Jahmyr Gibbs, Rashee Rice, Kyle Pitts, and Chris Olave will need to do the same for Remember the Titans. In the European Void, Minerva's Minions host Loki Lebowski Thor in a rivalry game with the Cash of Mentats on the line. And this is a 50-50 toss-up according to computers. Anthony Richardson will need to stay healthy and use his legs to compete with Jalen Hurts, which might be the biggest key here. Saquon Barkley and Travis Etienne versus Tyreek Hill and Alvin Kamara should also be key battles. Brandon Ayuk has a tough matchup, but the Minions need a solid performance from two of Ayuk, Diggs, and McLaurin to take this one most likely. Both defenses will probably need sacks and turnovers to make up for expected high allowed points. Lastly, More Than Conquerors host the Clash at Demon Head in another 50-50 toss-up. Aaron Rodgers versus Jordan Love is hilariously an amazing quarterback battle with all of those implications. CeeDee Lamb has not practiced for a very long time after his holdout, so who knows if he gets his usual production here. Still expected, though. That leaves an opening for Garrett Wilson, though, if he doesn't, who can also cancel out Rodgers' touchdowns. David Montgomery versus Jonathan Taylor, Jerome Ford versus DeAndre Swift, and Deebo Samuel versus Brian Robinson might be the biggest keys in this entire matchup. More Than Conquerors will also hope that their 7th-round defense steps up. But don't sleep on DK Metcalf versus Jaden Reed as sleepers to get touchdowns in Week 1. Both of them can flip the projections. The first week of the season is so wild because projections are most likely way off. No one knows what's going to happen, and one injury can literally change everything. It also means we will be watching closely to see who will be the top waiver pickups, with some random guy most likely going off for multiple touchdowns. Happens all the time. But let the excitement begin, and let's see who starts the year 1-0. Before you go here and get ready for the first game tonight, refresh your memory on the preseason rankings and get ready for a huge shakeup next week. As I'm sure this rankings guys will move up 3, drop 3 spots. Who knows? It's going to be wild. It's going to be intense. Until next time, salute.